recording. I'm just gonna let Stacy maybe introduce yourself and then introduce the project or
Okay.
introduce the whole collaboration.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Stacy Prince. I'm an MFA candidate at San Diego State in the School of Art and Design. Welcome to Icons for Awareness, a collaboration with Take Back the Week. Excuse me. Take Back the Week is a collaborative effort from the SDSU community to spread awareness about issues surrounding sexual violence and rape, and to provide support for survivors. Co-sponsors for this event are Counseling and Psychological Services, Frat Manners, Planned Parenthood, the School of Art and Design, the Sexual Violence Task Force, Sister, Title IX Office, Wellbeing and Health Promotions, and the Women's Resource Center. I would like to say a special thank you to Elsbeth Islas, who is joining us via Zoom from the Women's Resource Center, along with Melanie Amaker from the Wellbeing and Health Promotions Department. They were both diligent in working to help make this event happen. Also, thank you to Associate Professor Arzu Özkal, who designed the website for the event, and Chitra for all your continued support. Our online exhibition for this work can be viewed at design.sdsu.edu/TBTW2020 /. So that's design.sdsu.edu / the initials for Take Back the Week 2020 /. Icons for Awareness is a digital exhibit of signs designed by graphic design students aiming to raise awareness and create a framework for dialogue about issues surrounding sexual violence and rape, child marriage, domestic violence, gender equity, and women's health. Today we have Professors Arzu Özkal and Chitra Gopalakrishnan, graphic design professors from the School of Art and Design at San Diego State. I'd also like to welcome via Zoom graphic design's 2 students, Leon, Tay, Jacob, Amanda, Ileana, and Samara. Thank you each for your contributions, along with your other classmates that have made contributions to raise awareness for these issues. So I'll turn it back over to Arzu or Chitra.
Emily as well. Emily's here as well. I think, I don't know if she was on the list, but so happy to see you here.
Thank you.
Her work is in the collection too, in the group as well.
Great.
Well, thank you, Stacy, for the introduction.
Thank you.
It was a very interesting project to assign to students and work with the students. But before we talk about the project, I would really like to hear a little bit more about the Take Back the Week events. If Elsbeth could introduce a little bit, especially on a different semester. What happens? Like, how do you guys, I know that there are actually events, and what is the Take Back the Week?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. It's really nice to meet a lot of you, or meet you virtually. My name is Elsbeth Islas. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the interim assistant director for the Women's Resource Center. I have helped with Take Back the Week this year, which has been a huge honor and privilege. So Take Back the Week happens every year. It's as you said, a campus-wide initiative, collaboration, and the events that we host range from different topics and different mediums. We've had panels, healing.
But you're cutting. Is it just me, or are you guys also having technical issues?
It might help if you turn off the video, Elspeth, when you're speaking. Maybe for your connection, it might go the. I found that typically when the voice and video is not okay, we turn off one of the things.
It froze on my end.
Okay.
Yeah, you froze for a second, Elsbeth. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, can you hear me better now?
No.
It's very glitchy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
It's a little.
Elspeth, you want to try to turn the video off? Maybe then the sound will. Typically, it's difficult with both if the connection is okay.
If there's a way to get to closer
Can
Wi-Fi
you hear me better
source.
now?
Yeah, yeah, it was better. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, we had a whole, I know how much it cost before I kind of disappeared with the Wi-Fi, but we had a whole lineup of events planned for this year that were going to happen in person, but then, you know, the pandemic happened and we shifted gears. The Sexual Violence Task Force, which is the lead for Take Back the Week, you know, was really committed to providing these resources and spaces for survivors and allies. So we have a whole lineup of events planned. You know, they're all virtual. On Monday, we had Healing, Pleasure, and Sex After Trauma with a sexuality educator. Yesterday, we had a guest speaker, Brittany Piper, talk about supporting survivors virtually, and we also had trauma-informed yoga. Today, we're kicking off our third day with you all, Icons for Awareness, and it's a really big gift, and I'm so happy to be here and to learn about y'all's work. Then we're going to have a sex trafficking panel and close off with spiritual healing from sexual violence. And we have many more events for Thursday and Friday, so I definitely encourage you all to check it out on the WRC Instagram, the Wellbeing and Health Promotion Instagram, and you can also visit the Women's Resource Center website where you can see more of the details. And I'm happy to connect offline if you want to ask any more questions. And again, I just want to express my heartfelt thanks to you all for providing your talent and time for such an important topic.
Well, thank you so much, Elsbeth. We thank you for, you know, inviting us, Stacy, as well, to be a part of this very important week and initiative. Like when we do this project, this is graphic design 2. It's a visual communication class, how we communicate ideas visually, effectively, and creatively. And when we do the project, it's usually open to any subject matter that students would like to tackle with. So it could be from you know, plastics in the ocean to deforestation or agriculture, whatever it is that students are interested in, we let them go and research the subject matter and then start creating these icons, a campaign around it. So when Stacy contacted us about the Take Back the Week collaboration, we said, oh, this is a wonderful opportunity. Let's just assign as this project, the Icons for Awareness project. And we limited the subjects to any women's related issues. So Chitra, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think it, I completely agree. I think it was such an important issue to address. And I'm so excited that despite the pandemic and whatever is going on, I feel like I'm so happy that you could put this on a virtual platform, because the students have been working really hard on this. And it's a topic that's obviously, that impacts a lot of us. And pandemic or not, this issue continues to go on. So I feel like I'm really appreciative of continuing this on a virtual platform.
And I
the
think
discussions are so important, right? So
right, what you said about pandemic or not, I read research that especially now because people are stuck home, it's,
yeah,
it's actually a lot more
it works. Yeah,
problematic, right?
it's very, very, yeah.
Difficult to go out and seek help, I believe.
Yes.
Right.
Child abuse and domestic violence, I think it's unreported right now because we're all inside, but that's the reality. So it's really important. I feel like it's so relevant to talk about this. So thank you so much for all of you for being here for this talk, and for agreeing to share your process and what's going on with the work.
I was really impressed by when I assigned the project, and of course students went home and thought about it for a while, like which approach, which angle they're going to design their icons for. And it was really interesting. I think this group that we have here is a good example of like how many different topics, and some of them I couldn't even think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's maybe we can open it up to students now. I
Sure.
don't know.
I was just talking to one of my students, Emily, who's here. She has another class that's starting at 1, so I thought maybe she could share her info. Sure. And then log off when she has to. Mm-hmm. But she designed, just to briefly introduce her work, she designed the one on the icon that says "Uplift Our Transistors." And Emily, if you want to add anything on like why you chose it or how you came about this.
Yeah, so basically I was just like wanted to focus on the exclusion of trans women from a lot of like feminist circles, and also violence against trans women, because like within yeah, because trans women are like disproportionately targeted when it comes to sexual violence, and I really wanted to shine light on that issue.
Yeah, and I feel like, we talked a lot about, how to talk about exclusion in a more, oftentimes when you're talking about any group that is excluded or any problem that is really difficult and trying to win somebody over onto this side, you can take we talked about that, right? When we approach the antagonizing approach or the accepting approach, which of the two. Sometimes when you showcase an ideal situation, when things are working as it is, it helps the viewer understand what's missing in society, So I think the direction of your message was really, very positive towards a topic that is extremely, it's easy to go on the antagonizing route. And I'm glad you decided to take the positive route, because that helps somebody understand that, yes, trans women are not included in feminism. And why is that? And it's very easy to make a statement that says, you should include trans women, or like, it's wrong to leave trans women out, or, people immediately shut down when they hear those sort of,
Top down.
Yeah, talking down, exactly. The preachy kind of approach where you're already getting so much data and you're just like, okay, another thing that is telling me what I should be doing. So that approach was, I think, really powerful. And so one of the, I guess in our section, we had a limitation on color. We decided to do 2 color plus white. Mm-hmm. So, just to sort of really simplify and essentialize the form of the project to make sure that we get the core of the message is color is added, but with a very intentional meaning. So Emily, maybe you can talk about how you worked on the color aspect because of the flag and other things.
Yeah, so I sampled the pink from the trans pride flag. This is a shade of that pink, and in my actual final piece, the background is the actual pink that's used in the flag. I was going to include the trans flag in the actual trans symbol in the middle there, but I think it was getting too complicated, so I just stuck with black.
Okay. Can I just, Arzu, can I do a quick screen share to show you Emily's website where she's updated the process of this?
Sure, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, so I'm just going to start with this one. I think, Emily, you've just posted your process, and it's really helpful to see.
Oh, it's not all done. My process is not that all there. I'm still in the
I know,
process of updating it, but my
like
final
half
stuff
of
is
it,
there.
you know, just to see like part of the, I just think you've done a good job of it. That's why, you know, just to understand like how the icon works in the context of an app. How does a sticker work, or, you know, a poster that we are not going to print, but we're going to view virtually on, I guess, this beautiful European wall, but it's really cool. I just wanted to share that just because sometimes it's not obvious when you look at just the icon that's designed as to like what the process behind it is, and all the, you know, the color stories, the type stories, the sketches that go into it and everything.
I think it would be a great intervention if you could print these and just put them around, because nobody's out there. We could just go and put posters everywhere. I had access to a printer.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, plaster the campus.
Right. Or I think maybe we could, as soon as we go back to campus, we could just print them.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of really good work, so it would totally make sense. Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.
Really wonderful concept and execution. Who would like to go next?
You want me to?
Sure. Okay. Go for it.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, so I'm just gonna go over my idea process on choosing the topic, and then I'm just gonna go over my process and my design brief and just how I got to this point. So my idea process originally when choosing a topic, I wanted to go to something that's kind of, it's kind of mentioned here and there, but I feel like it's not very like brought up, you know, as much nowadays. Like we start to see it a lot more often in a lot of women around the world. But I wanted to like shed light on like eating disorders and like how like self-care and eating for self-care should be like an important part for health for a healthy woman. And I wanted to include like all eating disorders. I didn't want to just like exclude like specifically one. So that's kind of where I went with my idea process. And during my process, I'm gonna do a screen share. I'll just go over my design brief real quick. Desktop. So over my design brief, so this is what I said. For my design, my women's issue awareness campaign, I designed a poster application and sticker. Many women today are bombarded with advertisements, peer pressure, and by social media with beauty ideals. Many will do diet trends while others may even starve themselves. Some become obese because of binge eating and bad eating habits influenced by their families. They may lack or have no body positivity at all due to their perception of weight. For my topic, I wanted to promote awareness of eating disorders in women by designing an icon that represents the struggle along with a positive message, eat for self-care. I chose to make an apple being squeezed by a measuring tape to represent the struggle of women with eating disorders face when looking at their appearance. I used the white space to make the woman's arms and legs to make it clear that the issue impacts a woman. And for the colors, I chose pink and green to represent femininity and health. So I wanted to just show my sketches too. So my process, at first it was a little hard. Originally I was going for the icon, the Venus icon, but I felt like that was kind of being played out a lot. So I wanted to go a little more different. So originally I was going towards like a body being squeezed. And then I actually got the idea when walking past the health office. I saw like a recycle bin with an apple on it, and it was like a waste bin. And I thought, well, what about like an apple being eaten, but the apple being eaten being squeezed? And so I kind of got that idea and my second set of sketches. And so I was like, okay, well, what if there's a way to incorporate that apple being squeezed by measuring tape somehow? And so that's where I began to work on it in my process. And so from there, I just did several process sketches of the apple being squeezed. I tried to make it more dramatic. Later on, I added arms and legs to it just to represent the feminine body. And I really tried to focus on the colors too, because I didn't want to make it look too like school-like, because the red and yellow just called school too much. I wanted to focus more on health and femininity. And also too, the pink is also represented in a lot of like the cancer awareness campaigns. So I try to like follow that same idea for health. And so that's where I went with my design. So I went with like a green and pink and white kind of design. And going forward, I made some mock-ups of like what it would look like in public. I really like how it stands out on posters and stuff. I just thought it was really amazing, the color scheme. And I thought of like an application that could be used for resources for women to get who struggle with eating disorders. So I designed this app concept idea, just different scales of it to show how it looks at different sizes. And then I invented stickers. I'm thinking about printing the stickers too, maybe, and passing them out. Another reason too, I thought was important to bring up too, is just because health and wellness aspect of this, and how maybe the health center could use these stickers to pass out. I don't know, but this is just my process in going about this project, and I had a lot of fun making it. That's it.
Yeah, I think one of the things, I mean, I thought was fun was the, taking an unexpected thing like an apple, which doesn't actually squish as a fruit with a measuring tape. We were just thinking about the idea that if you took like a tomato or some other grape or something squishy, like a banana or something, it is possible to squish it with a measuring tape, but we're just talking about something that's not. And just the measuring tape as like an object of really like struggle. Yeah. So
I think, Jacob, one of the interesting things when I only see the icon when Chitra shared with me, I thought it was really interesting. It's really well done because it speaks to both men and women.
Yes.
I don't think women only struggles from eating disorders.
Oh no, that's part of the reason too. Another reason.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that, but you're totally right that it does. I don't actually think of women's issue only when I see that the way that you have done it, Jacob, which is cool actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and that's how it kind of related to me too, is I struggle with like a mild form of like, bulimia. I don't make myself throw up, but there's other forms where like you make like focus on your weight a lot. And so that's kind of like why I felt like I related to that topic too on a personal level. So that's why I tried to go with that topic. And that's why I feel like it can cover a broad range.
I agree. And that's something I would suggest to reword your website, because you just only say women struggle, but I think it's the struggle that both men and women could struggle. And
I think it's a very, very important strategy. I feel like in any project that you get, right, in any kind of a job option platform or whatever, to find some way that you have some kind of connection with the project on hand, however close or far-fetched, it often makes the work so much more powerful because it is personal, but it's also universal. And it's a great, like your commitment to it is not, never at less than 100%, so it's a cool strategy. I mean, to sort of approach.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jacob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who would like to go next?
I could go.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll just share my screen.
Yeah, I'll make you a co-host also. We should be
All right,
able to do it now.
cool, thanks. So, okay, so I'm Leon, and so for the icons for awareness, I focus primarily on verbal harassment in video games because like um I'm not as involved as I used to be in the esports club that we have on campus, but aside from that, like I feel like I'm pretty like uh in touch with the gaming community, and this is like a very like huge issue that gets blown over a lot of times, and like people that should be like reported in games for like verbal harassment towards like women is like they're not being reported, and so this kind of issue is like something that get like brushed on the side a lot, and I do want to like spread awareness on it. And so I feel like this project does like mean a lot to me because it's like it's so involved in my life and like all my friends that I interact with. And so I actually had kind of like a rough time sketching it out at first. Like I started with game logos, so and trying to like incorporate it with the gender symbol, and a lot of them weren't really that like successful. And so like after like a couple like class critiques, we kind of like came up with an idea to like start like looking at like video game characters that are like super popular. And so like after like going through like a very like long list of like the most like popular video games, uh we found out that Donkey Kong actually like works out the best because like Donkey Kong he's kind of like he's a very like buff gorilla, and he's usually or like in his original game is where he like throws down like barrels and then you have to like reach him like at the top. And so I started like sketching like different shapes of him and like or like poses and his barrels like I'm just that'd be cool like the barrels like the toxic part of it. And then eventually we I came to like the conclusion to use the text message to like kind of like represent the verbal abuse with kind of like the cuss, like how you would normally see like the cuss word as. And then my final design became him like ripping the text message apart because in this in my poster it's kind of like Donkey Kong should like represent the male part of the game community, and they're usually like it's usually like the males that are in the game community that are like throwing like verbal harassment at women. So it's like the message is trying to say that like it's like it's our part like everybody like the whole like community as a whole is to like to stop harassment, and which is like displayed in like the tearing of the text message.
Yeah, Leon, I think your angle, my internet connection is unstable. Am I cutting? Maybe I'll stop my video for now. I think your angle to this project was really, really interesting. I hear about this problem. I'm not a gamer, but I hear about my female colleagues and friends who like to play games. This could get really serious, get quite depressed about. And I have one friend who received death threats because it escalated so much that they find who you are, where you live. I don't know, maybe some hacking is involved into this world too. I don't know. But she did a whole project about, you know, how this became so serious that really affected her life negatively. I find the choice of Donkey Kong is like, it symbolizes so much, right? Because early on when our children starts playing these games, this is the male figure that we are giving them as an example, right? Be all this like all macho and mean and disrespect women and disrespect everybody who is weaker than you, right? So it's this ideal male character that's spoon-fed to children who are as young as my son, 7, 8, 9, right? So they learn how to be in a society, and this language continues maybe even further on. They say mean things in real life too. So I find this project really, really, really important as a message, creating awareness, and the message is so positive: reform your language. I don't know if any of you have any other.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think that this is again a really good example of showcasing a positive slogan, while in your image you're showcasing, a more confrontational issue in your icon, but your slogan is positive. So it's a really smart way to sort of show the aggression in your message without, passive aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I'm all for it. I think passive aggression has a good place for such moments, because you cannot use the same force of language in your icon as you're doing for your slogan. It's a really good balance between the two. And when I first saw it, I think my take for the video game, I mean, I feel like it's one of those icons which still works in a vacuum too, without the context of a video game too. It still works in that aspect where, just as an Indian woman who has been catcalled on the street when you just go for getting groceries or whatever, it's like a common thing, just super normal. I mean, everybody's just normalized to the point of, whatever. But so I immediately reacted to it in that way, that I didn't realize it was about video games, but I was like, oh yeah, that's true. Women get called all kinds of things when you're out. And it was really good. I think it was really good from that perspective too. So it's, again, it works within your context of a video game.
And I think video games like adds anonymity to the.
Yeah. Oh, it's the worst. Yeah, totally.
It's way worse, right?
Twitter and all these things, which are, I mean, where you can remove yourself so much from actual contact, actual, connections. I feel like that encourages some of the worst behavior.
I also want to add something too, is like it also can reflect the online community as whole, because a lot of the video gamers are connected to online and streaming, and like just in general being on the internet. It's just a lot of people tend to be attacked online, especially towards women. And I feel like that's a good point too, to like make that well known too, not just for video games, but even online in general.
Yeah. If you think of all of the forums, discussion boards, Reddits, and all those different things, this is the same thing. So very cool. I mean, I still think that it's a really powerful and it's really humorous, because you're picking on, I mean, if you're a gamer, you understand that context. If you're not, it's still really good, so I'm obviously not, because I was totally outside of it. I didn't understand it at all, but I still thought it was really cool. And I understood the message, so.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you for participating. Who would like to go next?
I could go.
Who is it? I couldn't see.
Ilana.
Oh,
Ilana.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could share my screen. So this one was mine. And so I was mainly focused on like sexual abuse in a relationship. So, domestic violence. So I mainly started out with, I had painted this actually a while ago on canvas, and I thought it would be cool to try to get that into actual graphic design. So then I started out with this sketch right here. I really wanted to go with like a single line drawing. So it all starts with like one point over here, I believe, and then it just kind of goes through and it's all one line. Then I wanted to stick with red and just tint it, just to keep it simple. So I ended up with this one. And I think this one was probably my favorite poster design just because it kind of looks like he has like a shadow cast on his face and it makes him look a little more scary than in the actual drawing of him. And then I have my little sticker design. And yeah.
I like the app icon. I think it's, you've zoned in on a very essential part of that drawing. It's a good translation from the, I loved seeing the painting behind this thing. It's, I didn't know, and it's really beautiful. Very cool.
Yeah, as a project, as a message, I really, it's striking, right?
Yeah, the slogan is amazing. The slogan is just so good and so, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's and I like your idea of because making a piece a single line sort of a thing. It we talked about this earlier today in our class, but just the idea of like when you're developing an icon, give it something that gives it a life beyond that particular intended use. You know, like a drawing like this as part of a campaign, as part of an app or whatever it is, this piece is intensely sculptural. You know, if you think about it, like developing it into an object also, it totally functions in that way. So it just has a life way more than this particular project, which is a flat 2D thing. There's something really dark and poetic, and at the same time, the drawing is surprisingly cheerful, you know, like it's like such a good mix of those tensions that I feel like that is usually what gets the slogan, the drawing, they're at odds again, because it's again a cheerful drawing and a really dark message, and then you see the tears, and it's like it's a good it gets, I mean, it's again doing that thing where your audience is thinking about it without you like screaming at it from the rooftops and saying, being super obvious.
Yeah, and what I really appreciate about this design and the slogan is we see it, we understand it, we probably feel connection to it, and you are giving the choice to the viewer, right? He will do it again. You can take action,
yeah,
you can cry in quiet, you can take action, or you can be quiet about it. So I find that really interesting.
Yeah, and exactly, the tone of the slogan is so personal, right? It's not confrontational, and it's extremely confiding in or whatever, like, you know, in the kind of conversations you would have with your close friend or with a helpline or one of those things. So it's really, it's a smart choice to use that kind of language for
And
this.
it's usually a lie that we tell each other, ourselves, right? Oh, no, this was a one-time only thing.
Yes, exactly.
Never happen again. I'm never gonna let this happen again. But
yeah,
crap that you can find yourself in that situation. So I really find the slogan very powerful.
right. Yeah, I totally agree.
Inviting people to take action, but you're not, yeah, it's not a top-down, go seek action.
Yeah. And it's again the thing about leaving women out. Like when you see a poster about domestic violence, most victims of domestic violence don't think it applies to them, you know. And I feel like this does a good job of just assuming that it's going to apply to everybody, you know. And that's a great, it has to be that way, because for anybody to feel like they are part of that conversation, you know.
And I really like how you did the emphasis on the typography, especially for the well, because it just adds that more dramatic feel to it.
Yeah. Can you show the one with the color fill in there? Cool. This is interesting. Yeah. This has a.
Yeah, that one's supposed to be like the poster, the sun.
Yeah, that shadow definitely makes him much
Mm,
friendly.
Yeah, and it's actually really well designed. I was looking at it just to see if any of it looked like a. It's really well considered, the light and shadow aspect of it. Technically speaking, in terms of the alignment and everything. So yeah, this is a really cool project. And I like the focusing of the icon. Like taking a part of that for the icon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ileana.
Cool. Good job.
We have Amanda.
It's just, I'll go ahead and share my screen then. See if this needs to work. So my idea was the fact that women get taxed a bit more on just regular general hygiene, even things that are just colored pink, like all the way from girl toys to shampoo, like even haircuts are more expensive just because it's for women. I'm also a cashier at a store, so I see like the difference between women buying like hygiene stuff and the difference between like men buying the same things, and the price is very, very different. My logo, I kind of just wanted something to show how we, like, I mean, women have to pay more in taxes for just simple things. And my original idea, that's my dog, sorry. I don't have any sketches on my website quite yet. My original idea was something regarding like break bank, like we have to put more money into daily things that a lot of other people don't have to. And then the whole rest of the class like really zoned in on one of my sketches that included a skinny piggy bank, because like that's not a normal thing, and it was very like, oh, that's strange. So I decided to go with that. I didn't really do like a starving piggy bank because it looked too much like something I already saw on the internet, and I didn't really want to copy that because that wouldn't have been good. So I just kind of morphed the piggy bank to just show how like how skinny it is. Like we don't have that much money put aside because we have to pay for all these things. And so yeah, I kind of just created a simple one. I chose a darker background because Arzu recommended that it would look easier on the eye. And I kind of just wanted something that you could immediately recognize, like even if you don't even if you don't know what the words say, you could see like, oh, that's interesting, maybe I'll go up and look at that more. And I originally had the feminine sign on the piggy bank, but I thought it was a great idea to use it as the Q in equal tax. And yeah, so here's a few stickers. I haven't quite made mock-ups for them yet. And the icon looks a little bit dark, but I think it works because it kind of catches your attention. And yeah.
Yeah, the icon is totally visible on the phone screen. I think it's a good, and the two-tone of green in the back is a really good idea to talk about wealth and the money. And I mean, I immediately understood what this was about. I first thought it was about the wage gap, but then because I had somebody in my class working on a piggy bank idea with the wage gap, but but then the slogan is so clear, and it's really the pink tax, so it's very cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that the image is so powerful. Like
yeah.
Obviously nobody wants that. We want our pigs to be so we can eat them. So it definitely shocks you with the image, and even if you're not familiar with what this pink tax means, because of the image and the message,
exactly,
you are inviting them to research and understand that there is unequal tax between male and female products, which is
Yeah, it's another really good example of taking a easily recognizable object and distorting it to the point of having the viewer question why it's so. And, you know, again, inviting the viewer into that topic because of the distortion, you know, because you're like, oh, why that doesn't look normal, you know, sort of like with Jacob's project and that apple, where you're like, oh, an apple should not be squeezable by a measuring tape. So it's, again, those really, and the contrast is great. I feel like it's the contrast and the Venus symbol instead of the Q is really a great touch. I feel like it undeniably contextualizes the conversation, you know. So
I feel like that Venus symbol really helped too, the equal tax, just expanding it.
yeah, exactly. And it also sort of does a good balance for the poster, you know, in terms of the color balance. It's
yeah, because I was thinking about just keeping that white, but I liked keeping it pink. It looked good.
Yeah, it creates the immediate relationship between the starved and the female, the Venus sign.
Yeah. No, it's a really good project, and it's such another example of a really cheerful rendering of such a frustrating, you know, issue. So.
Yeah, I was having complications with that. I was like, I don't know if this looks too childish, but I guess like if you know about it or if you research it, it's like, whoa, that's intense.
Well, and it's also a good way to, like, you know, you have to hook the viewer in. You have to invoke, or you have to create, you know, the beauty or the simplicity in that so-called childish images, but they have a lot of contrast and they have a lot of you know, things that draw the eye to it. And that's the best way to get somebody on board, and then tell them that this is what it's about. So,
and I think it's also broadening the audience, the age demographic for projects like this is really important, because I think these issues start at younger ages, right?
Yeah, like I did some research into it, and the article that I was reading, it says like, yeah, it ranges like a whole lifetime of a woman, like from starting with girls' toys, ending with like women's like adult diapers. Like it's all that range.
Right.
It's
like
crazy.
Little girls who want the same bottle of water just because, or the pink label just because it's pink, right? We brainwash children so early on to like the pink stuff so that we can charge them more. Yeah, so I think it's great that you made it a little bit childish or simplified so that they could also look at it and maybe ask, like, why is this pig starved? Like, what does equal tax mean? Like, I think when children start questioning things, this would be a really good conversation starter with a young girl.
And it's great that you also work in the retail environment to have worked on this project. Another great, you know, another great example of taking something in your actual context and making work out of it. So you should put this up at work.
That'd be funny.
In everything. Excellent. Thank you so much, Amanda.
Cool. Yeah.
Of course.
You should put on your register.
Or
just print out the stickers and put them up everywhere in the store.
I think we have Samara as well. Samara, are you here?
Samara.
Hi.
Samara's icon is the one on I'm on your team, the second one on the website.
I made you a co-host, so you can share your screen if you want to.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm not sharing my video because my internet connection, it's not really well right now. Yeah, so this is my poster. My topic or issue was more of a personal one. It's women being competitive among other women just for the sake of, I don't know, I did some research and there's a bunch of theories or opinions about it. I found the term toxic femininity as well to describe like how this behavior is towards each other, of tearing other women down. And I chose this topic because, you know, I've been into that problem. And I think doing more research, I found like it was pretty universal. There were some sayings about it and everything. So that's why I went with the approach of depicting the women as this very familiar shapes that we see, or as society we recognize as people, to depict the women, because it could also be interpreted as like men being mean towards women just for the sake of being women, to tell them like, hey, it's part of your team if it's, you know, if it's at work, because that was like the more popular scenario that I saw, like women being nasty at their co-workers. So yeah, for the colors, just as I kept the shape simple, I wanted to still hint that it was, although I have the woman symbol in there, gender symbol, I still wanted to hint that it was towards women, or the target audience was for women. Yeah, and I think this was the most successful rendition of it. Here I have the whole set of like what was asked for as far as the sticker and like the application. Yeah.
We were talking about how this topic is a difficult one to bring up because toxic femininity is so deeply rooted in internalized patriarchy. So, you know, it's not an isolated issue. It's part of the bigger context, and it's very coming up with a slogan or an approach for it is tricky, because you are talking about another dark thing, you know, about the idea of exclusion or pushing somebody down, or and it's also tying into a lot of those cliches that it's easy to tap on women, saying that they it's the idea of not being unable to work in a team or something. So we try to talk about the positive aspect of it, or the inclusive aspect again, because that you know, the topic is so relevant, but it's also not, it doesn't exist on its own. It exists because of a number of other patriarchal issues. So I think, I mean, in terms of, again, the cheerfulness of the colors and the language of it, I think it highlights that issue without making it a hostile moment. You know, it's a tough balance.
Yeah, I think initially I wanted to like point out the counterproductive competition of this topic, but I think I'm more happy with how like positive it is than like pointing fingers at like, hey, you're doing this wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great reminder. I love the message. And I have to say, I really appreciate the leg of the R. Did you custom create that, or is that the font that you chose?
No, that was like a happy accident that I found that font, and I was like, oh, it looks kind of like the arms already. So I was like,
I think it's an excellent type choice. Really appreciate it. I think, yeah, again, we should have this as a reminder at everything. Because we do forget, sometimes we get competitive, we get mad at each other, but we are on the same team against these very patriarchal world that we are constantly struggling, right? All women are paid less than their male colleagues, or we have these pink taxes, or all you know, the world is created very different for, or more challenging for the women. So we need to always remember that we are on the same team. We are fighting against the same issues. I love the message, and I love the whole the color scheme and the imagery. It's really, really nicely done.
oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think in the same vein, we had a few more students in the class who have another class right now who couldn't be on this, who came up with on the same topic. And I thought it was interesting because it's an important topic. And I think Gerald in our class used the Bad Bitches Band, which I thought was one of the most humorous takes on this issue, because it's a, if you can't get in with subtlety, you get in with humor. And but it's again another reminder that there's friendlier ways to take on very antagonizing, difficult, hostile topics in this, and this reminder that we exist in an extremely patriarchal context. So that's a great point, Arzu.
Yeah, do we have any? I'm not sure what to say at this point, but we invite everybody to take a look at our website. I think, yeah, we only have 7 students presented about their work, but I think all the messages are equally important and really creatively done, make us question about different issues related to women and men. I think it's difficult to separate. Most of these issues apply to men these days, and I think more and more being discussed. Stacy, what do you?
Thank you for
from when we started the project to like you're seeing the results. What is your?
It's amazing because I think I presented my work right around the time you were presenting this topic. So I didn't see anything that the students were working on. So it's nice to understand the message and see the visual icon of the message that they're sharing. And I love how they all look so nice together in this grouping as well, and individually. I think they really did great, especially with everything that's been going on in the world.
I think you're right, Stacy. This project here, the shutdown hit us smack in the middle of this project. So maybe for some of the others, we had some time to prep and plan adjustments to work remotely, or we get used to this weirdness. But this one, I thought it was exceptionally great to see the work come out this way, because almost every student here was struggling with moving everything back home and making work, staying on track, getting on schedule. It's way more than anybody signed up for. So the fact that we have these many entries to it is amazing.
Yes. Are you all seniors, or will you be graduating, or?
Next spring should be graduating.
Okay, nice. Hopefully we can talk to Annie and see if we can put these up somewhere next semester if we're around, or next year.
Right, as soon as the school galleries are open,
yes,
I would be happy to print all of them in large scale and have this exhibition.
Yeah. We should have all these made into stickers to be passed out.
Yeah, that's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, stickers, and I think, and a lot of you guys did the simulations, and it looks so good that I've had some people asking if these stickers were available because they are really humorous, and people, I was sharing this in like friend circles, and they were like, so where are these stickers? Can you send me some? And I was like, virtually exists.
There are websites where you can
no, totally. They just, because a lot of you guys on your websites, you render it so well, so everyone assumed that they exist in real.
There's actually a die cutter machine at the screen printing lab that you could probably print them there.
Yeah. So many cool things there exist on campus.
I would even love to give this out where I work, because I work at student engagement at Grossmont College. So that would probably be
Oh,
like
yeah.
a good thing to pass out because that's like our safe zone and diversity center.
Very cool.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I think online website is great to disseminate, but
Yeah.
other ways to, like, because it is going to change someone's life. Like it is one of my personal experiences when I was a middle school student, somebody just gave me a zine about, the first feminist movement about Turkey. So I grew up in Turkey, very quiet family, whatever happens to me, it was my fault, right? Default. So, but when I got the zine, I started reading, and it was a big awakening for me. So imagine a young woman struggling with these issues, seeing one of these stickers or seeing this as a flyer on a coffee shop table or somewhere, right? It definitely makes you connect to other people and makes you realize that you're not alone. There are other people who may be going through the same things, or there are support mechanisms. So maybe what I would do on your websites when you're putting these projects, list some of the support resources, right? For eating disorders, for example, list some websites for people to check after seeing the work, or sexual harassment, like what they can do. Maybe list some campus organizations, right? I think it is important to raise awareness, but then guide people what they can do, where they can go to seek support and help.
Yeah. One other point I wanted to just add, Arzu, if it's, our class is doing it more towards the end of the semester, is when their websites are done with the documentation of this. But maybe we could just make, depending on if everyone's website is up, we could make those links clickable to out to their websites, because I feel like a lot of you have put a lot of, I'm seeing it in the PDFs, have done a lot of documentation of it. And it just gives a better chance, because I posted it on our SDSU Art and Design site, and the first comment was, who are the students who made these, So it would be great if we could just link it up. So even afterwards, after this thing is done,
this video would,
end of the semester, maybe after the thing winds up.
This video would be good too to put on our portfolio websites too, our interviews.
Yeah, I think it's great to, but thank you so much, all of you, for doing this despite everything that's happening. It's an important topic, and I'm so glad to see you guys power through it. You and the rest of your classmates who are not here, but
absolutely.
Yeah.
And thank you, Stacy, and thank you, Elsman, for initiating.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Thanks, Arzu, for this website. It's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
I had to learn Dreamweaver for this. It was great.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Bye.